everyone, welcome to card 3 of my baby series. I'm kind of going about this card in a bit of a different way than I normally do. Plus you guys will notice I am doing this in real time. I didn't speed up the video at all. I still edited it, but it's going at the speed I normally go at. Don't get used to this either because most of the time I just can't because I have way too much footage to include in a video, but it worked for this card. So I did my layout first. I'm using pattern papers from the Basic Gray Olivia collection. I got this a couple years ago and I like using it for baby girl cards because it's a little non-traditional. And the circle was die cut with one of my Spellbinders circle dies, and then I just flipped over the card front and used my scissors to trim it off. And then I'd use the largest of the label 4 dies for that white piece of cardstock, which I'll get to in a minute. I wanted to stamp the sentiments on that circle, that's why I chose the lighter pattern paper. And the sentiments are from the My Favorite Things Baby Onesie stamp set. And I inked up both of them with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I stamped the girl first, cleaned that off, and then stamped the second stamp kind of a little bit on an angle, just like so. So once I've got that, I went to add the ribbon, and I'm just using some seam binding ribbon from the Cat's Pajamas. This is the olive seam binding ribbon. It was kind of the closest color I had to the green in the pattern paper. So it just took a little bit of fiddling to get the ribbon right. My only peeve with this ribbon is because it's wrapped around those cards, it's got kinks in it and it makes it a little more difficult to tie, but also because it's seam binding and it's soft, it's kind of easy to kind of work the kinks out. If you get the ribbon the teeniest bit damp, like hardly at all, you can straighten any of the folds or anything in it. So it just works, and it's pretty and it's soft and I like it. So anyway, fiddle with the ribbon, and you notice I always pinch where the knot is if I'm pulling on the tails of the ribbon to adjust the bow. If you pinch the knot, it keeps the whole thing from coming undone when you're adjusting it. So got that done, trimmed off the tails with scissors, and then fiddled with that till I got the bow down on the card front where I wanted it. And then for the main piece of cardstock here that I'd cut with my label 4 die, I chose the Paper Smooches. What stuff is this? This is the Alpha Dot stamp set. And I had enough letters in there for the baby's name, because I always like to personalize baby cards for people and include the baby's name just because it's something extra. So I inked it up with Memento Angel Pink ink. I thought that was rather fitting. And just stamped that along the bottom of the die cut piece and then adhered that into place on the card. And my original plan was to use, there's actually a string type stamp from the Paper Smooches Pipsqueaks stamp set, but this was a little too wide, and rather than stamping it twice, and I don't know, I just got a little brainstorm and decided to use some Blossom Baker's twine instead. So I heated up my hot glue gun to adhere the Baker's twine into place because liquid adhesive is just an absolute mess when you're trying to adhere anything like fabric type stuff. So put a little bit of that on, got way too much on, so I just used my scissors to remove the excess. And if you're not familiar at all with glue guns, please be very careful because they get very, very hot. I've worked with them for years, so I just know when I can and cannot touch it so I don't fry the ends of my fingers. But yeah, little dot on the edge for the end, one in the middle to kind of hold it in place, and then another dot of hot glue on the far end. So got the string into place where I wanted it, and I already had plans to cover up the ends. I thought about doing buttons, but I'd already tied a couple little tiny bows with the twine, so I just added a little bit more hot glue on each end and then adhered the bows over that. So it worked out really well. So got that into place. And then as always, when you're working with hot glue, it's just a matter of getting rid of like the little strings of adhesive it leaves behind, but that wasn't too bad. So I got my little bows in place and pressed down. So then I basically got my cute little laundry line. And then I took other images from the Pipsqueak sets and I stamped them onto some of the different pattern papers in the pack with the VersaFine ink, and then just trimmed them out. And then I'm just using my little 3D foam dimensionals to adhere them to the card so it looks like they're hanging from the little line. So I thought that just turned out really cute. So I got the little onesie down, and then for the little dress, because it had that little heart on there, I just grabbed a Copic marker and filled it in. It doesn't have to be a Copic, you could use any marker, anything really. I just grabbed Copics because they're sitting right in front of me and they're just handy. But yeah, I carefully colored in the heart because, again, I used VersaFine ink. That's not really compatible with Copics, so it can smear, so I just gently dabbed the color in and it was fine. So adhered that one, and then finally I had the two little tiny socks that I had stamped and cut out, and same thing, I just used my Copic marker to add a little bit of color to them. So once I've got that, I'm just going to adhere those as well to the card, and they were actually just the right size that those little 3D foam dots fit perfectly, so I didn't have to like trim them down or anything. So I adhered those, and once those were in place, I fiddled around a little bit more with figuring out if I wanted any more embellishments or anything. I didn't really know what. I was just kind of fiddling when I made this card. I had stamped and cut out the little basically like laundry pin image too, because that's I was going to adhere those to make it look like they're, you know, attached with pins, but I didn't like how that looked on this, so I just scrapped that idea and moved on to the rest of the embellishments. So I just used a stitched brad that was part of the Olivia collection. It had a little heart on it with some bling, so stuck that in place. And then finally I had these sitting on my desk. I showed these in a haul, these Doris self-adhesive little rhinestones. So I grabbed those out, and then I just used the tip of my scissors to peel them off the backing and press them into place just for a little bit of embellishment. And then, as always, flipped it over, and I used a bit of Scotch tape on the backs of the ribbon so that my ATG could glide over that and not get caught on the ribbon. And added my adhesive, and then I'm going to adhere that to the card base. This is a 5.5 inch square card. If you've watched my other videos, so far I seem to be doing that consistently with baby cards. I like making bigger cards when it's for babies. It's just fun, especially when it's a personal card that I'm giving to someone. I like, you know, bigger is better. It's a fun presentation. So yeah. Anyway, on the inside of the card, same pattern papers as I used on the outside, just leftover pieces, and to keep everything kind of consistent, and similar layout as I did on the front as well. And then I just added this strip that was left over from the front of this darker pink, because I had a plan for that, just to give a bit more of a solid base for the little images I'm going to add. And then I die cut another labels from white cardstock for a place to write something on for the inside. And then I had paper pieced again the same little onesie dress and socks as I did on the front, and quickly colored in the little heart in the top of the socks. And then I just used my Tombow Mono Multi to adhere those along that strip of pink that I had added. So got those in place, and then that was it for the inside. So just adding more ATG, and then I'm going to adhere that to the inside of the card, and that's it. So as always, there'll be a link below to my blog post with links to all the supplies used. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!